We are not supposed to do all of this and do it perfectly and post it on social media and judge each other and read all the blogs and keep up with all the parenting. This is not it. Hey babe, I'm Brooke Jean, licensed therapist, coach, mama, and your straight talking guide to ditching the pressure and living a life unperfected. I've coached some of the top C-suite women in America, women leading billion-dollar companies while secretly falling apart. I've been her. I blend psychology, neuroscience, and energetics with lived experience to help high-achieving women actually heal so that they can access their infinite energy, creativity, and vitality. If you're a perfection-obsessed woman who's checked every damn box, career, family, house, 401k, but still feels low-key dead inside, you're in the right place. Here, we rip off the good girl mask, call out the BS, and build a life that actually feels like yours. We talk healing, we talk revealing, we talk rising, and we do it raw, real, and unfiltered. This is the Unperfected Pod. Pause at the end of my month, which I did yesterday, and I like to look back and make sure that I really take with me the juicy, beautiful moments. I also look at, did I do what I said I was going to do? Was I living in alignment with my word of the year, which is infinity? The better it gets, the better it gets. Did I take care of myself? The things that I committed to, were those a good use of my precious jewels, time, energy, and sanity, or not? And I take those lessons and I make adjustments inside my life and my relationships and my business and my family and all the things. But even more important than that to me personally, because I'm a perfectionist and we tend to be really critical and we tend to let our brains focus on the not enoughness because many of us have a core belief that we are not enough, that it is never going to be enough. We're going to talk about that in today's show. But if you're hardwired for not enoughness, and most perfectionists are, we have got to pause on the good. We have got to juice the moments that were solid. We have got to celebrate the milestones, the mini shifts, everything that when we did what we said we were going to do. And I did that. I took a moment to really make sure, hey, those moments that I had with Camden through his graduation and with Tony and Chloe and my family through his graduation, and our friends, was I present? Can I extract that gold, that precious time in celebration of one of my babies? Can we extract that gold and really fold it in to who I am? Can I feel the enoughness of those moments? Mother's Day was gorgeous. Do I remember how sweet that was, or have I already freaking forgot? So I really go out of my way to juice the moments, and that helps me rewire my brain for enoughness because we are in a neurobiological circuitry of not enough. So let's celebrate, mamas. We made it through May. Make sure you see your wins, but here we are now in June. And what I do know is us working mamas, summertime can be a little hectic and stressful. Maybe it's not for you, and I think that's amazing. But we are usually the ones that are figuring out where our kids going to go when we're doing the things that we do. And we're researching options and we're coordinating things and we're making down payments and we're filling out all the paperwork. Okay, I could literally go off on a whole tangent about the paperwork, but I digress. It's a lot, right? And whether you're doing a full-time thing, a part-time thing, if you're doing, picking camps here and there and working it around your vacation and, are we going on vacation? Every family goes on vacation. And, are we having a nanny share? What are we doing? And me and my family, guys, we've done it every single way you can imagine. When the kids were young, my husband and I just raw dogged it. If you were not at work, you were with a child because he has nights and weekends. And so I would just put all my clients in the morning of his closing shift, evenings after his shift, nights, weekends. And we did that for years. And yeah, we had that precious time with our babies, which I don't regret, but it also really was hard on our marriage and on my nervous system because there was no personal time and there was no, couples time. It was just a grind. And so once Chloe and Camden were both 3, we started like enlisting in help, whether it was preschool or shared nannies or whatever. So we've done every single thing you can imagine, but this is the first year that we're actually putting Chloe in a summer school. And I'm obsessed with the program, and it is full-time because they don't do part-time, but I can pick her up early on Tuesdays. So we can still have Tuesdays with mommy like we always do, but it will only be from like 1 until we put her buns to bed, which quite frankly might be better for my nervous system. And she's in the program with her best friend. And so I feel really good about that. However, I want to acknowledge, it is a mental load to figure out where your kids are going to go when you're working. That's a thing. And B, no matter how sure you are about the program, no matter how sure you are that you're doing great work in the world that's important, there still comes this like immense self-doubt and guilt when you're taking your kids somewhere. Like I put it on my Instagram story this morning, like it was, we're starting summer, blah, 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 but it is hard. It's like, there's always that voice inside that's like, well, should I be taking the summer off and like living my best life with my daughter? And then I have to quickly remind myself that is not my version of living my best life. That might be your version. And I think that's an extraordinary thing. But for me and the kind of mom I am, the type of nervous system that I have and the things that I work through every single day to be a healthy, normal human, and I use normal very loosely, that's not ideal. But there's still a part of me that's like, is this the right thing? And is she going to be there too much? And am I spending enough time or not enough time? And blah, blah, blah. So can I just name that and normalize that? Because you might be going through that as well. And we are all doing the best that we can. And I can say for me, every mama gets to do it different. And y'all, let's stop shaming each other for how other mamas choose to do this freaking dog and pony show that is working motherhood. Whether you stay home with your kids or you put your kids here, there, whether you vacation or you don't, whether you sunscreen or you don't, whether you eat organic or you don't, let's stop judging each other and shaming each other, because we are perpetuating this perfectionism narrative that we're not doing enough and that we should be doing it different and better. And that's why we all are feeling this subconscious like self-doubt and guilt right now as we're taking our kids to whatever the heck they're going to do for summer. So I love you. You're doing enough. You're amazing. Do what you need to do for your family. I'm never going to be the queen to judge you. I think we're doing our best. And I think whatever is best for you and your family is the money move. And so rock on with your bad self. Okay. So let's get into it, guys. Today we're talking about how perfection is poison. Perfection is poison. So perfection isn't just exhausting. It's quite literally poisoning your life. Yes, I said that. So just last week, I had a client in my office. She's got all the things. She's doing the damn thing. She's got the high level leadership position. She's got the kids. She's got the car. She's got the style. She's amazing. And she was prepping for this meeting, and she had a full-blown panic attack going into and had to kick off the meeting. And what's wild about the incredible human beings that we are and that I work with is, of course, nobody in the room knew that she was like choking on her own breath. If you've ever had a panic attack, you know how that feels. It feels like you can't breathe, right? We somehow still show up and get the job done, but the tax internally is the poison that I'm referring to today. Those of us that, learn somewhere along the way that to be successful meant to be safe, to be successful meant to be loved. We have found these ways to like show up no matter what is going on in our minds, in our bodies, in our nervous systems, and in our energetic field. And so this beautiful being on the outside, everything looks honky-dory. She literally looks like a boss babe, like she's got it all together, but she is literally suffering through a panic attack in front of people and they don't even know it. And so this is what I am here to help women through. We do not need to have panic attacks at work. We do not need to be going into a meeting with a panic attack. I'm going to give you guys in this episode, I'm going to give you 3 tools to help you so that you can start to move this poison, this perfectionism out of your mind, body, and spirit so that you can show up in the wholeness that you are and not have to fear having a panic attack. I mean, I want to pause right there. How many of you listening have had a panic attack in the most inopportune circumstance? I know this happens to so many of us. And instead of continuing to push through and live with, I actually want to help you get to the root of these things so that you can feel better, so that you can be the truth of who you are. Okay? So here's what I want you to take away from this episode, all right? We're moving from perfect to purpose. We're moving from healing to high frequency without the pressure to be perfect. And I'm giving you those 3 tools I just mentioned to help you heal, become, and rise. So let's freaking get into it. Let's talk about the day that I made the decision to unsubscribe from the poison that is perfectionism. You guys have heard a lot of my stories. You know, I really decided to be a perfect girl at 8 years old because I had a sister who was born with a brain tumor and had to fight for her life. And that morphed into so many things, right? And that was a really big reason why I was so successful in the corporate world, was my drive, my perfection, my go-getter attitude, my I'll do whatever it takes. And there's still an element of that is core to who I am that I'll never want to get rid of. I like that I'm the kind of woman that when she has her heart on something, she will make it happen, but without the poison that is perfectionism. But, you know, I had Camden, and then 14 years later, I had my daughter, Chloe, and it was after I had her, and it was like a really difficult delivery, and it was a few days into being home from the hospital, and I was pumped up with all these fluids for several days because they broke my water, because I induced both my babies. I induced and they didn't come for 3 days. Hello. Can we talk about, if I could choose it all over again, I would not let the doctor tell me to induce my baby, because my babies did not want to come. They wanted to come naturally. And personally for me, and there is no judgment to somebody who's inducing, I let them induce me because of my own anxieties, because I wanted to know, and I wanted my husband to know when we were having this baby. And guess what? We didn't effing have the babies. With Camden, y'all, I went to the hospital and spent 2 days in labor. They induced me and I got sent home with no baby. Did you even know that was a possibility? I didn't even know you know how you have like a consult, I think they called it back then, to talk about inducing. They never once mentioned to me that it might not work. And I'm 22, I'm naive, I don't know crap. I go to have the baby, they start inducing, I start going into labor, but then the labor doesn't pick up enough. And I end up having to walk out of a hospital with no baby. Can you imagine? And then I waited a whole nother week, and then he still didn't come for 2 days, maybe even 3. So I'm a clincher, bro. I am a textbook clincher. I do not release my babies. And anyways, so they broke my water with Chloe to, make the labor start to pick up speed. And so what that means is after you have the baby, you have all these fluids in your body, and then they all go down to your feet. So it was the middle of the night. I was nursing Chloe. My fluids had, fallen to my ankles, and my legs and my ankles were in so much pain. My nipples were in pain. I was sleep deprived. My mental health issues started coming online, and I was just miserable. And I was having I remember I was looking out the window in the rocking chair that I used to nurse Chloe in, looking at the moon and being like, what have I done? What have I done? And scary thoughts started to enter my awareness. And lucky for me, I'm a therapist. So I knew my scary thoughts were not mine. I knew that that wasn't me. I knew that it was the depression or anxiety. It was something. But in that moment, when I was, all day long, I'm nursing the baby, I'm sleeping with the baby, I'm feeling trapped by the baby, I'm feeling like I need to get out and work, I'm feeling like I need to be doing things, but I'm stuck home and da. And I'm seeing on Instagram and on Facebook just all these moms killing it and bouncing back and all this crap. And then I'm just totally flooded with all of this information about, how to feed your baby, how to train your baby, sleep train your baby or not sleep train or co-sleep. Like, I had noticed, essentially, in that night that I went to a dark place, I took a step back and I zoomed out and I saw the change in the expectations of the modern mom today, which was when I had my daughter, versus the 14 years earlier when I had my son. When social media wasn't a big thing, the internet wasn't a big thing, you weren't literally drinking from a fire hose all of this information about how to be a good mom and then feeling judged and compared, through social media. And it was like, you have to do all these things with your kids that I didn't do with my son. So I think a part of it, I was also feeling bad. Like, well, I didn't do sensory play with Camden, and I could only nurse Camden for 6 weeks. That was a whole nother really hard story. So even though it was hard to nurse Chloe, I was so grateful that I could for 8 months. But I think part of that was also feeling bad. Like, my daughter is going to get this aware mom that has all this new information and new tools. And my son got like the 22 version college student mom. So anyways, it was just a lot. It was a lot of emotions and a lot of comparing and a lot of triggers that took me to a dark place. And I had to kind of go to the darkest of places where the scary thoughts started coming in order for me to zoom out and go, oh, there's a parallel between the rise in expectation of the modern mom and a rise in her suffering. And this suffering that I'm going through right now is not because I don't love my baby. It's not because I made a bad decision having a second baby 14 years later. It's because this idea of the perfect mom is making us effing sick. We cannot take care of the babies and be the breadwinners. We cannot take care of the house and be in the classroom. We cannot be the CEO and be at every practice, every game, and stay up till 2 a.m. baking the cookies. We can't work 50, 60 hours a week and be at, every award ceremony while hitting the gym 6 days a week, while getting the wax in. Like, we couldn't make homemade organic meals every single night while we're working and schlepping kids around to their 46 activities that society has told us that we should be doing with our kids. I literally had this, like, I don't even know what that was. It's probably like a mini awakening where I was like, there's no way we're designed to do all of this. We are not supposed to do all of this and do it perfectly and post it on social media and judge each other and read all the blogs and keep up with all the parenting. This is not it, especially in today's age when there is absolutely no community for moms. Maybe we could have done some of these mothering things when we weren't working and we were like in huts and we had legit community for freaking generations supporting us. Then maybe I can cook, organic, healthy meals every single night. But in today's context, where we are told how to have our babies, we are pushed out to go be on our own. We are not given the support, the rest, the community, the nourishment that we need, and we get right back to work. And we're like running the household, maybe even the breadwinner. It's too much. And I had this realization that the problem isn't me and the fact that I'm not enough and I can't do it. It's that we have this pressure to be perfect and I'm subscribing to it. And so I made a conscious choice. I am no longer subscribing to all of these ideals that I keep seeing are the most important thing. I am unhooking from perfectionism, and I am parenting from a place of pure alignment. What is it that I value as a human being? Those are going to be the things I give a shit about as a mother. I give a shit about quality time. I'm going to prioritize those things. I give a shit about laughter, playfulness, dance, being silly. I'm going to prioritize that. I give a shit about, being a good person and learning and growing. I'm going to focus on that. But all this 672 other things that everyone is telling me is the most urgent parenting hack, I'm out. I'm tapping out. And that's when the brand Unperfected was born. So how do we get here? How do we get here? We have this thing in our brain called the amygdala. I call her Amy for short. And Amy is your brain's alarm center. She's the one that is assessing all the information that's coming in through your receptors and your senses and determining if it's safe or dangerous. And so sweet little Amy doesn't know the difference between missing a deadline and a lion is literally chasing me and I'm about to be eaten. Amy doesn't know the difference between the tone of that email and I must be an absolute failure and I need to change everything about me to fit in. And the cortisol cascade, the adrenaline rush is the same in your brain and body for when I missed a deadline and I'm being chased by a lion. And the problem with perfectionism is it pulls us out of any natural rhythms that we would have to rest and recover, right? So sure, we're designed to sprint and go hunt and then come back, rest, recover, receive, then go back out, then come back, rest and recover. Perfectionism tells us, keep going, do more, do better. Oh, you're tired? It's because you're not doing it right. Oh, you're impatient with your kids? It's because you're not doing it right. Perfectionism steals those natural rhythms that help us slow things down. And so if you can imagine, and this is why I'm saying perfectionism is poison, when we're in a constant state of, I need to do more, I need to do better, I need to try harder, I need to go further, what have I forgotten? I'm not enough. It's not enough. Look what that mom can do. Look what that, couple's relationship is like. Look what that body is like. What we're doing, guys, is we are essentially flooding our brains and bodies with adrenaline and cortisol over and over and over again, which is causing the inflammation. Okay? Adrenaline, cortisol, and a stress response are okay. As human beings, we're designed to tolerate that. In fact, some stress is really healthy because if there actually is a freaking lion chasing you, your ass needs to run. Okay? Like there is nothing wrong with some stress. We are not out here trying to avoid stress. That is going to make you a vulnerable person in today's society. But when we are constantly in a state of a trigger, a trauma response, a not enoughness, a perfectionist, I need to do more, then we are constantly flooding our brain and body with adrenaline and cortisol, and we are never releasing that and closing that cycle. That stuff is quite literally making us sick, you guys. That is a cause of inflammation. I think we know now, like stress equals bad, but then we stress about being stressed. And that's not helpful either. So let's not stress about being stressed. Let's just understand what's going on in my nervous system. And when a stressor comes in and I get triggered because I feel it in my body, instead of, stuffing it down, I want you to do this 90-minute exercise. And maybe you want to do it with me right now. You put one hand on your heart and you put one hand on your belly and you take a deep inhale through the nose. To the count of 4. You hold at the top and you open mouth exhale with a swoosh to the count of 6. So inhale to the count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and hold. And swoosh it out. Do it again. Inhale through the nose to the count of 4. And hold. And exhale. Notice how you feel right now after just doing that easy, free, accessible breathwork tool for 3 breath patterns. I want you to do that for 90 seconds. And I want you to do that at the top of the hour for 90 seconds. You know, my client who was having a panic attack in her meeting, that was the doctor's orders I put her on. And I'm not a doctor. I like to say that to be silly. But the treatment, the prescription, the plan, the coping skill, the tools at the top of every hour. I want you to set a reminder on your phone. I want you to stop, pause, and put a hand on your heart, a hand on your belly, and do that breathwork pattern for 90 seconds. 90 seconds. And she started playing with that for 2 weeks. And she came back and was like, I really struggled the first day. I struggled the second day. I struggled the third day. Where I really started to see something shift was on day 4. And I didn't do it perfectly, and it was super annoying, but I now can see how I get triggered, my stress response gets fired up, and now I can go to breathing and what that does to downregulate my nervous system. So she's made that neural link, which is extraordinary for her growth and development, right? So as a perfectionist, you have a neural link of it. There's a stressor. I need to do more. I did something and it's not enough. Those are your neural links. You have baked into your biology that automatic habituated thoughts, feelings, patterns, and behaviors. And so my job as a therapist and coach is to help you unhook those neural links and rewire and reprogram your brain and body, your nervous system, and then ultimately your somatic system, which is also your energy field. So what if instead of a stressor comes in, we try harder? What if a stressor comes in and we default into a 90-second breath work? My loves, this little technique will change your life. The work that you're doing to have panic attacks, the work that you're doing and the energy that you're spending to sit and spin in your perfectionism and your cortisol cascade is more energy than it's going to take for you to do 90 seconds of breath every hour on the hour. I promise you that. So the first thing that we do to get this poison out of our body is we start to regulate our nervous system, okay? And we start to somatically work this stuff out of our body. That is huge, okay? Thing number 2 that I want to share with you is parts work, right? So I've created several podcast episodes about inner child, becoming the CEO of your parts. And this is something I really go deep in with my one-to-one clients and my mastermind and my groups, is becoming the CEO of your life. And what that really means is that the highest and best version of yourself, your soul, your spirit, your essence, the part of you that knows that she's here on purpose, knows that she is made of love, trusts herself and others implicitly, knows that she's already whole and has what it takes. Your highest self that can see this is all falling in divine order. That's the woman that you really are. And she should sit at the head of your table of life. And around the table, you have your inner child or children, depending on how much work you've done, your inner teenager, or how many of them you have. And you have your protective parts. You have your manager and your firefighter. Well, perfectionism is actually a protective part. It's a manager. You've developed a part of you that says, if I just go harder, I'll be accepted. So that way the child doesn't ever have to feel left out, abandoned, rejected, or ashamed. You know, somewhere in your life, you learned, when I'm the star, I'm loved. When I do well, I'm appreciated. When I'm the best, I'm safe. And so you built this part that's going to hold you to that so that you can be safe and loved and included. But it's also that we don't feel the vulnerability that comes with maybe being not. Right? And so a lot of us are operating from a place of having our protective parts at the head of the table. When you're driven by perfectionism, you're actually managing your life from a place of hurt, from a place of protection. That is not the frequency that we want to be creating from, right? When we're creating from fear and ego, that is not our highest self. That is not our inner CEO. When we're creating from, so, you know, perfectionism is the manager, and then we have firefighters, which are like when we're actually about to be really vulnerable, about to experience real emotional pain, real shame, real judgment, real failure, real abandonment. Like the firefighter comes in and she's the one that's extreme. She's the one that's going to drink herself. She's the one that's going to, you know, light the house on fire. She's the one that's going to run away in the middle of the night. She's the one that's going to quit the job or lash out. She's the one that's going to do whatever she needs to do to protect herself so she doesn't feel the impermissible feelings of shame. Okay? And so as we're working with perfectionism and we're moving this poison out of our body, we want to understand that the perfectionist, that part of us, that part isn't poison. The neurobiological perfectionist response is poison. But the part of you energetically and psychologically that is just trying to keep you safe, that's not poison. That's a part of you. That's a level of intelligence you have that somehow knew it's better to get drunk than to feel this shame. And I have to say, how effing intelligent. It's better to perfect than feel this shame. It's better than to control than to feel this shame. It's better to panic or dissociate than to feel this shame and pain. How wise of you to have a part. How intelligent that we have a part that did that. So we want to love on that part. When we're getting really triggered with our perfectionism, y'all, regulate your nervous system and love on your protective part from the place of your CEO. So your highest self, she sees all of this and she loves on her parts and she hugs them and she gets on a knee and she looks them in their eyes and says, I see you. Thank you for trying to keep us safe, babe. Thank you for keeping us accountable. You have worked so hard and I understand why you have. But I love you, and I don't want to have to see you work this hard. So you get to sit down, have a snack, have a water, have a poop, as my coach would say. And I got you. It's enough. And the higher self reparents the parts and tells them the things that maybe we didn't hear growing up, like, it's enough. We got this. We're doing enough. People like us, you know, all the things that you would tell your children, right? So that's the second thing, is do your parts work. The third tool that I want to give you guys today to help you unsubscribe from this perfectionism is around energy work, frequency work, right? When we are in alignment with the truth of who we are, which is not the perfectionism, it's not the control, it's not the anxiety, it's not the overthinking. Oh, I just kissed my microphone. It's because I closed my eyes. It's not any of that. The real truth of who you are, the expression of you, baby, that's love. I don't know if you've forgotten. I don't know if you've been miscommunicated to. I'm sure you've gone through so many hardships that have tried to tell you that you weren't. But baby, you are love. And that makes you lovable. There's 1 in 400 trillion chance that you were born. You were born, there's a reason, honey. You are pure love. You are pure light. That is your frequency. But when you're in a protective part, honey, that is not your frequency. And it just so turns out truth, love, bliss, abundance, that is high frequency. Shame, perfectionism, control, anxiety, that's a lower frequency. And so it just so happens that when we regulate our nervous system, we raise our frequency. When we do our parts work, we raise our frequency. And now I'm going to give you some more things that you can do to come home to yourself and raise your frequency. Why does it matter? Because we live in an electromagnetic field and we are electromagnetic beings. And I don't care if you believe in God, Mother Nature, the universe, Buddha, Hindu, it's all the same thing, okay? If you believe in God, God created the electromagnetic field that we live in. But energy is undeniable. You cannot deny that we are energetic beings living in an energetic context. But we're also souls, okay? So your person is vibrating at a frequency and it's going to resonate with similar frequencies in the field. And so yes, having a higher frequency means that the similar frequency of people, places, things, experiences, opportunities are going to come into your life. It's the more loving you are, the more love you're going to attract. The more positive you are, the more positive you're going to experience. And this is not to spiritually bypass. We do our work here. We do our work. We name our feelings. We work them out of our bodies. We work on the trauma. We face the pain. And then we live it with intention and we fine tune our frequency back to the truth of who we are. Now, how do I do that? Breathwork, meditation, dance, nature, laughter, connection, sisterhood, my kids looking into their eyes, my husband holding him tight. But each day I'm doing things throughout my day to fine tune my frequency to make sure that I'm in the frequency of the truth of who I am and that heart is in coherence. Guys, there's studies that are coming out now that are showing that when people are all in heart coherence in a room with someone who's undergoing surgery, the surgery goes better. There is some incredible research coming out right now about the power of heart frequency. So your heart is the highest frequency. So if you can imagine, you just have a beam of positive energy coming out of your heart. And the more you open your heart and the more you send attention to your heart, the bigger that Care Bear stare gets to become. And by you being in heart coherence, you could literally be helping the conflict in your neighbors across the street. That's how powerful frequency is. If you've ever done Reiki, you know how powerful energy is. You feel the energy moving in your body. And so perfectionism isn't about becoming this ideal outside of us that looks good on paper or the internet. It's about coming home to the truth of who you are, which actually turns out was perfect all along once you decondition all this bullshit, all this armor that we've put on. If we were born as love, then we were perfect. But then we became things that we were not to fit in. And that's why we're unperfecting, because we're getting back to the basics of who we are, the truth of who we are, your authenticity. What are the things that make you feel the most alive? Go do more of it. I love to sing and dance. So when I want to be a pitching fork for my own self for frequency throughout the day, I play my favorite songs and I boogie. I go in the front yard and I put my feet in the grass and I face the sun and I twirl around. I literally put this shit on Instagram. You guys can see it online. I go in the backyard and I earth and I lay on my back and I look at the clouds and I do I am becoming the tuning fork to my own frequency throughout the day. I move emotions out of my body and I become the tuning fork. I become the tuning fork for my family. I become the tuning fork for my clients. I become the tuning fork for your team. I become the tuning fork for this class, because the more clean my energetics are, The more I am a walking embodiment of love, of abundance, of joy, of laughter, of silliness, of dance, the more I permission others to be, and the more my energy wakes up your energy. I resonate with like-minded energy. And this is where we can start to build beautiful momentum in our lives effortlessly. You want to attract the right partner. You want to attract the right client. You want to attract the perfect solution to your complex problems. You want to attract the right idea. You want the thing. Fine tune your frequency to the truth of who you are. And we do that by doing things that make us feel the most alive, combined with mindfulness and somatic work, and watch miracles begin to unfold. So here's the scoop, my love. Perfection is poison when it comes to the neurobiological cascade that occurs when you are on the never-ending hamster wheel of I need to do more and I need to do it better. That is a lie that you've been sold, and it is a lie that you continue to subscribe to. And when you have that rush of adrenaline and cortisol in your body and you never move it out with dancing and breathwork and all the things I teach you, you are just stuffing this emotion. It is creating inflammation, and it will quite literally make you sick. We're not doing that anymore, babes. Okay? We have families to lead. We have teams to lead. We have missions to uphold. We cannot do that when we are weighed down by our own biochemics. Okay? Number 2, love on your perfectionistic part. It is a protector. She has been born out of a high level of intelligence that knows how to keep you safe. Honor her, love her, hug her, put flowers at her feet, calm her down, give her a different job, and make sure that you're connecting to your higher self, your inner CEO. And number 3, fine tune your frequency, baby. Fine tune your frequency. Like energy attracts like energy. The more loving you are, the more love you're going to experience. The more hateful you are, the more hate you're going to experience. But what I'll say about frequency, and I'm really passionate about it, and I'm going to be offering a masterclass soon around it, because frequency and energy has been one of the key elements to me feeling good enough to live this beautiful life that I'm honored enough to live. But we don't do frequency work without doing the real work, the inner work, looking at our minds and bodies, naming our feelings, feeling them, talking to people, doing the trauma work. It's like the people that don't want to do the deep inner work but just want to do frequency work, I love you, but you have to know that your energy isn't squeaky clean because you're still hosting all of that stuffed emotion and trauma in your body. You might be able to pretend you are, and it might go so long, but the truth is every time you regulate your nervous system and have a good cry and then focus on your frequency, you're actually going to have a higher vibration because you've moved the emotion out of your body. You're not spiritually bypassing your pain. We don't do that here. You do step 1 first. You regulate your damn nervous system. There's a reason that is step 1. Move that emotion through your body. Breathe, baby. Then 2 is the parts work. Then 3 is the energy and the frequency work. A lot of times people want to jump to 3 because it's more sexy, it's more fun, it's manifesting money, wealth, abundance. I love all that stuff. But the more I heal, the higher my frequency. So I'm your guide to go from healing to high frequency. It's not one or the other in my world. It's both. We do a beautiful dance, a figure 8 between the two. And the more healing work we do, the more magnetic we become. And it's the better it gets, the better it gets. So, my love, what is one thing that you can take from this discussion today and put it in your back pocket and weave it into your world and see how you feel when you do this work for 30 days in a row? I would love for you to take a piece of that and share it with me on Instagram, whether it's in DMs or make a story and tag me. I love engaging with you guys. I love hearing that you're doing the work. I love supporting your journey in any way that I can, but make sure to tag me and share it. And that's what I have for you today. I'm sending you so much love today and always. Bye for now. Hey boo, if you made it this far, I know you're serious about healing, revealing, and rising, living a life unperfected. Just by showing up, you're telling the universe, I matter, I'm ready. So don't be surprised if things start shifting in your favor. If this episode moved you, do me a favor, rate and review the podcast on Apple or Spotify. It helps us reach more high-achieving, high-performing women who are ready to stop pretending and start living. And if something really landed, DM me on Instagram at BrookeJeanUnperfected or share a clip and tag me. I want to see what's moving through you. And hey, don't forget, you can watch this episode on YouTube and join my brand new VidMe membership for exclusive content, coaching, and community for only $35 a month. We're not just talking about rising, we're doing it together.